Welcome to episode 39 of Comic Book Nation, the official podcast of Comicbook.com. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw, and back after his long excursion is our own prodigal son, Matthew Aguilar. Back on the couch, my co-host here. And today we have a new face to show and share with you. He's come to finally face the people on the couch. Our own Mr. Gaming Guru over here, Tanner Dedman.
I'm really excited to see Tanner get in on some of the arguments that will most inevitably pop up today.
Are you saying we're
That's like the softest shell for this. Oh, stop. Just stop. You soft shell in his show, you just we haven't even kicked off everything in that lackluster beginning we're going with.
What? God, Jim.
Yeah, anyway, so Tanner is our gaming expert here, and he's here today because we actually have a lot to talk about on the gaming front, because as we speak, E3 2019 is unfolding. And so Tanner's going to be here to help us break down all the cool stuff you guys should be checking out on Comic Book Gaming, because there are some big things happening right now and some pretty fun things. Even before we came in here, we had people in this office losing their mind over some Super Smash Brothers nonsense. So we're going to talk about all of that and more as we go through.
So much so that Kofi walked off and into a different room. That's how.
Well, I walked off into a different room because I was trying to sit under a monitor where people were yelling at me for standing up.
That's true. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I was like this, and it was blaring, and people are screaming because of video game stuff, and I was just like, okay.
Everything stops for Nintendo. Everything stops for Nintendo.
I mean, yes, but I still have to do this thing called my work.
Megan had to go to a different room, but that was just because to conceal her excitement.
Yeah, it gets a little out of control sometimes here, but that's a whole different story, and usually for my therapist. So, moving right along to what we're going to be covering today, besides gaming, we have a couple things to talk about on the movie front. We got a new trailer for Disney's Frozen 2. We got an update about Quentin Tarantino's Star Trek movie. And we have to have a talk about what happened with X-Men Dark Phoenix and what it might mean for the future of the X-Men and the MCU. So, starting right at the top, since Matthew Aguilar is back, we're going to start with your favorite subject, the world of Disney.
Frozen!
We got a new trailer, the full trailer for Frozen 2. We had first had this kind of ominous teaser where Elsa's basically trying to get off what looks like an island or something and get across an ocean. And this new trailer kind of picks up with that and gives us a little bit more. And you and I were talking before the show. I haven't seen Frozen. I'm not a big Disney guy. I think that comes out on this podcast quite often lately. But this was a good trailer, a really good trailer. It's kind of dark. It's just familiar with all the Frozen world stuff. It's kind of dark and ominous in a way, but not too scary. It just kind of sets up a very kind of fairy tale, classic fairy tale, mystical adventure, but the good kind of adventure, the German kind, or the Russian folktale kind, where you might die or children might die,
It's dark enough. It's you wouldn't call it mature, It's not that high, but it's right in that sweet spot. And, there's a lot of, my only thing with the trailer, and it was actually kind of cool watching you watch the trailer, because the first part of it is old footage. It's footage we've seen. We've seen her going up the wave and everything.
Get across this ocean.
But then once you drop in, the rest of it is pretty new. I mean, most of the rest of that stuff is actually new, like her and of course there's never enough Olaf in these trailers for me, but seeing them slide down. But this story of potentially finding out, what happened to the parents, if there's more to that, seeing them go outside of just the ice typical landscapes that were in the first one, and seeing that gorgeous forest and all the, even the more not supernatural, but the more epic stuff towards the end with the cloud doors and all that stuff. It looks really cool. But there's just enough of that dark tone to give it some weight, and you don't feel none of this is inconsequential. They'll be fine by the end of it. There's just enough tension.
And like I said, it reminded me of an Amblin entertainment movie in the sense that it's for kids, but there's enough element of danger and death and danger on the sidelines that to make it exciting and to make it thrilling. So this was a great kind of first way to kind of set up Frozen 2. And I think it's going to play well, especially in theaters. I think this will be a great kind of theatrical one, because it really does kind of command your attention, and the visuals look spectacular. And the designs of some of these creatures, there's the horse in the water kind of image, the big golem thing at the end.
And those pink, it's those pink flowers or whatever. And then they dizzy into, it's beautiful.
Especially compared to the first Frozen, because I did see Frozen. I'm not as big a fan as you, I'm sure, but I did see Frozen, and I watched this trailer, and I was like, "Am I watching the right trailer?" Because it was pretty dark. I had to look at it again, and think, Did I miss something in the Frozen universe? How did we get here?" But
It is a step in that direction.
Well,
Yeah.
the crazy thing about it is like the log line, and I think it's even mentioned in the trailer itself. Like, Elsa had to conceal her powers, but now it's like,
That was the worst line.
He's literally behind me quoting that line. I know what he's
the
going
line.
to say.
I quoted the line how it was going to go. Paused it. Looked to Matt and said, "Is this going to say this?" And then he was just like, and I played it. And I was like, "Yep." We were worried her powers were too great for this world. Now we're worried they won't
It is
be
effective,
enough.
though.
it's effective.
It's effective.
I mean, at least
It's
you
an
know,
effective line.
Yeah,
what you're getting.
it sets up.
You know what
Elsa
you're
has
getting.
something heroic to do, and it's all going to flip around. And you hated me, now you're going to need me, like all that stuff. I got it. But it was just
That's pretty much the title to a future song, which
Yeah.
you just said.
you hated me, but now you need me. Suck it. Yeah, I get it. That's what they do for Disney songs, right?
We need more of that in
Yeah.
the show. You singing jingles.
Singing jingles.
Yes.
Well, let's hope the ad money doesn't run out. Otherwise, that'll be what I do.
We'll have a musical edition when Frozen.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm strangely like, I'm not going to say I'm in until my daughter kind of clicks around to Disney princesses and drags me in. Then I'll be
Yeah.
in. But yeah, I mean, I'm in the senses I wouldn't write this off as much as I write off many others.
I was gonna say, so you're more like you would you would at
I'm
least
in for
consider.
this. Yeah, I'm in for this over Toy Story
Okay,
4.
that's
in
what I was
my
gonna bring
opinion.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Toy Story.
I mean, we know he hates.
Don't
well,
tell
not
me.
hates.
I don't hate
You
Toy
just don't.
Story,
You
yeah.
just you have no.
And I don't hate on anybody who enjoys these things. I'm not like a misanthrope. I don't like go around to Disney screenings in a troll costume trying to like scratch the screen and yell at children. And
have you been
stuff.
stalking my Instagram?
I mean, I love everybody who enjoyed this. I love Disney Magic. I grew up with it too. It's just that, yeah. I mean, Toy Story just burned out for me. Like after the first one, I think the first one's a perfect movie. Like full stop. That's all I needed. Like for
Yeah,
that
I mean,
particular
do
subject
we need
matter.
4? I mean,
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, that's a whole
Four
separate
realistic?
debate.
yes.
I'll go
yes,
see
you
it.
do.
I'm gonna go see 4 no matter what. I'll love it, but do we need it?
No, I mean that's a whole separate debate.
You didn't think you would until you see it, and then you're gonna be like,
Oh, that's
That's
right.
right.
That's right.
You've
You've
seen-
seen it.
Okay,
You've
that's
seen it.
why.
Toy
Okay.
Story.
Okay.
I
This
forgot.
guy?
I forgot. Yeah.
Oh man, they just let anybody in. All right. So I'm just, wow, I just let anybody in there now. All right. So moving right along. After ragging on Jim Viscardi. No, so Jim, you're vouching for Toys. Look, hey, wait. Before we just rag on you, let's hear you put that money. Do
I
you
was
think
one of-
Toy Story
I was-
4 will be better than Frozen 2?
Oh, whoa.
probably not.
Okay.
But Toy Story 4 is good. Like Toy Story 4 makes me dislike Toy Story 3.
I hope I hope you're not breaking any kind of legal Disney things. 'Cause
Oh, yeah, we
I
didn't
don't feel
even
like getting assassinated like on this thing. Yeah.
These are basically the same as my social sentiments, and it's basically like I was one of the first people to say I didn't, do we need Toy Story 4? And seeing it, yeah, we need Toy Story 4.
So sounds like if you're a Disney fan, you are in for
Good
quite a good
times.
year because Aladdin surprised and didn't suck. Frozen 2 is looking good. Jim says Toy Story 4 is good.
Yeah, I'll go into it more later.
yeah,
I'll go
man.
into it more.
I got
in a
fingers
later
crossed for
episode.
Lion King.
And fingers crossed for Lion King. All right, so jumping from the happy side of Disney to the dark side of the universe with
Very
Quentin Tarantino and Star Trek. So, there's been word that Quentin Tarantino is making a Star Trek movie. Now Quentin Tarantino is confirming, yes, he's making a Star Trek movie, and it is going to be a rated R Star Trek movie.
Well, I think you're got to be careful with your words here. He's confirming that there is a script for a
Star Trek movie.
And that if he made one, it would be rated R, right?
Right.
Right.
I still think that he may have just. I feel like this script he wrote in his free time.
He
and is
wrote it
saying
in
that
his
there
bedroom.
is a script for a Star Trek movie he would like to do. I am still not convinced that Quentin Tarantino is actually doing a
Right.
Star Trek movie.
Well, Star Trek social media is truly split, regardless of if it's just a script or if someone's actually developing.
I would love to see it because I think Star Trek is a franchise that kind of needs to go that more director-driven route for installments as opposed to being that sanitized, franchise thing that we get with some other ones. But I don't know. It'll be curious to see if it actually happens.
As we're framing this question, that's it. So how valid this is still kind of up in the air. It's like I said, it's been just kind of
talking about it.
floating around that this could be a thing, Quentin Tarantino Star Trek movie. He's now saying there's a script and that his script would be rated R. Okay, we're all accurate. So the question is, for the Star Trek fandom, how do you feel about this? Me, personally, I love QT, and I'd be curious to see what his kind of unique brand of rapid fire and dialogue and stuff like that, how that would play in a Star Trek film, which has essentially always been an ensemble piece. And Quentin Tarantino could do really great things with ensembles and characters, and especially retro things. So I'd be in for this 100% as somebody who grew up and has loved Star Trek for a long time. Not everybody, safe to say, not everybody feels this way.
Are you a big Star Trek fan?
Okay, if you ask me any question about Star Trek, I will embarrass myself because I cannot answer them. But as far as the actual movies, I've seen all of them, and I love the Star Trek movies. I love like that contained, I don't need to know anything else about the universe, just that contained experience. Love them. And I love Tarantino, so I will be there on opening weekend if it comes out.
I mean, I'm not the biggest. I've never been since the Next Generation. That was my money spot as far as like when I was the most into Star Trek. That was it.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. So since then, like I've dabbled here and there, but nothing ever really caught me. Discovery's come close, and mostly because Jamie's said things about Discovery, and I'm like, oh, I should go check that out, right? But nothing aside from the movies. I've seen all the movies, the newest ones, and I would go. This would get me to go to the theater just as curiosity, just to go. I want to see what he can do with.
Yeah,
that
it'd be the
franchise.
biggest hype thing. I mean, thing to hype the brand in, ever since like the late 2000s when it was announced that JJ was doing it, and this would be bigger than that in a sense because of Quentin Tarantino's involvement and just a morbid curiosity to see what the hell a Quentin Tarantino Star Trek movie would look like. This would actually reach beyond the brand's current reach and go into the mainstream and pull people into the theater who probably a few of which have never seen a Star Trek movie to come sit down and watch this.
Even without the R. So if you add the R in, like without the R, I'm curious enough to go see it. If you throw R in, then it's like, oh my God, like he literally can do whatever he wants. I'm money. Like
I would love to see Star Trek go a James Bond type route as far as like how a franchise is handled ish. Where like there's still that bit of an ongoing narrative, but like almost all of those movies have their own bit of feel and flair to them.
Yeah.
That I think continues to make those movies interesting.
Yeah, and so like just to be clear, what he said is he wouldn't be making this like this wouldn't be Reservoir Dogs Star Trek. Like it's not everybody dropping the F word every single second.
As much as we might want it to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I would love it if it was just they just called each other by shirt like colors, Mr. Blue, Mr. Yellow, Mr. Red Shirt. Like, yeah, that.
That would work in Star Trek.
Yeah. Exactly. So he said it would basically be so that he would have leeway to do stuff in space that's scary or would have consequence. So like if somebody got sucked out the air a lot or, a hole got blown in the ship and people got sucked out, like, they die in space instead of some PG-13 kind of, work around that. You'd see them, dying in space. Or if there's a Klingon fight in blades and people get cut and they get disemboweled, like they're actually getting hurt and dying. And so, or if they get shot, they get vaporized. You know what I mean? So like, there's actual consequences to the sci-fi stuff that's happening in the violent theater of space, which kind of would make sense. And this isn't just speculation because other cast members of Star Trek have heard about this, like Zachary Quinto has weighed in and been like, yes. And they're still just trying to wait and see like if it's just kind of one of those weird Hollywood limbo things. We're doing the Schrodinger's cat where this is both alive and dead inside the box right now. Like a lot of people, there's been interest because of reporting and social media. The Star Trek cast has even like weighed in and been like, we'll wait and see what this is. I mean, Quentin Tarantino, why not? But it hasn't officially been put forward yet or greenlit. So that's where we're at. And like I said, I think Paramount still has the rights to this. Yeah. Yep. So if I'm Paramount, like I would, because this would be like the biggest, like I said, the biggest thing to do for the brand. And if it doesn't work, it's Star Trek. Just shunt it into its own alternate timeline or whatever and keep moving. But like, I think this would be good. And since the series is having this resurgence on TV, Picard's coming, Discovery's finding its footing, this would be kind of a nice alternative for the movie side.
Absolutely.
To do. So
I agree.
It'd be a kind of way to, in the words of Wu-Tang Financial, diversify your bonds. You know what I mean? Like, get the franchise some different parts to it. Star Wars is almost doing the opposite right now, which is, they're putting out still these lighthearted movies, but now they're going to TV, and it's going to get a little darker with something like The Mandalorian. So you might as well just do the opposite of your rival. That's my take. But all right, we're going to keep you guys updated because that would be one of the more interesting big franchise announcements if this gets pushed through. And I'm pulling for it. So,
Yeah, I want it to happen.
Yeah. All right, well, moving right along, let's talk about X-Men Dark Phoenix. Matt, you were not here. You had a more important life stuff to do while we were all coming in on talking about on the last episode about Dark Phoenix and what that movie was. And, we were pretty much across the board here saying it was kind of a lackluster movie. I don't think we were too hard on it. It was an ending to X-Men. It wasn't the great, big, epic finale we all hoped it would be or could be. But it was just kind of, like I said, it was a movie with X-Men people. It was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't the worst of the franchise in our opinion, collective opinion here, but it was definitely not the best.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it seems like we were nicer to it than a lot of the movie-going audience was. Because,
Very much so.
Yeah, I think Dark Phoenix on opening weekend was projected for 50 or 60. Then it was projected for 40, and then it came in under 40.
30, was it 33?
I forget the
Ended up being
exact number. It was
33
30,
million or
32,
something?
33, something like that.
It was not good. It was not good.
It was not good at all. So analysts have already kind of went back to the mats and clicked the calculators and figured out, this movie could lose about $100 million plus in terms of just from the marketing and promotion, the reshoots, they poured a lot into this, and it's looking like a big loss for the studio. And I don't usually do I told you so's up here, but as a guy who wrote an article said Fox just end the X-Men movies now last summer, citing things like if this doesn't work, you're going to lose a lot of money, and which is our new subject to talk about, it's going to really screw up the X-Men brand for the foreseeable future, and just kind of leave people with a lukewarm taste in their mouth about it. And that's going to make it harder for Marvel to kind of reboot the X-Men within the MCU, which is kind of what we're hearing now.
See, I don't see it that way, though. But I'll let you finish your thing.
I mean, there's the way you see it, but then there's the real realities of business. I know. But I'm just telling you what. Yeah. Okay, first let me just say what they said.
Okay.
And the kind of message was after, kind of talking about the failures of Dark Phoenix. Basically, that the word coming from Marvel is that Kevin Feige and his team are willing to, quote unquote, take it slow with kind of rebooting the X-Men with the MCU, which, to be fair, was not off-brand from what he was saying before this movie came out.
5 years.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 5 years or something like that. But I think before people were kind of indignant about that, they heard 5 years and they're like, what?
Yeah,
5 years? That's crazy.
I got yelled at by people in the office.
Yeah, exactly. So 5 years, people were feeling kind of crazy about that. Now it doesn't feel so crazy right now because you're kind of yeah, that makes sense. You got to let some.
It needs.
You got to air out the court. You got to air out this house where somebody has died with all their cats. You got to open the window and air it out.
Analogy.
Yeah, you got to air it out and kind of put a fresh coat of paint on it. But this is the topic, so we can debate this. Do you think that Dark Phoenix has kind of just slowed down the ability to kind of bring the X-Men back in the MCU? Or is that kind of the antithesis? Is it the antithesis? Is it people are waiting for this, that's why this movie failed, and they're just waiting for this other thing to happen?
I mean, I think it's more the other, because even before this movie came out, the predominant opinion of this was, let's just get this out here. The sooner this releases, the sooner we move on to Marvel actually doing it right. And that's every opinion that I saw going in before it even got box office numbers.
But this movie was announced and made before even the inkling of the Disney Fox thing was going to happen.
But now the reaction slow over time over the last 6 months has been...
Oh, true. But I would even say even when the movie was announced, people were like...
I remember when Skrulls got announced.
Do we need this?
When people found out Skrulls were going to be involved in some way. And it was like, why? And then it came out, Captain Marvel was going to also have Skrulls. And everyone was like, oh, okay, well, they're going to use them right. And I guess whatever. It's been the prevailing
And then they got
thought.
Captain Marvel and they complained.
Oh, yeah, that too. But I think at this point it's just they don't care. This is inconsequential to anything. This movie, whether it's good or not, they know it's not leading anywhere. It's
Well, I
done
mean, yeah,
and-
Dark Phoenix kind of screwed itself and shot itself in the foot because, yeah, a lot of people were saying on the one hand, like, we've seen this story before. It was Last Stand, and it wasn't that great when they did it. And this movie isn't going to matter because right afterwards, we're going right into the MCU.
yeah, the
And so-
slate's being wiped clean.
Yeah, so like,
You don't think it's going to hurt anything at all?
I don't think it changes their initial plan. Their initial plan was always, as we had kind of talked about before, it was going to be at least 5 years before you even see these little inklings drop into the MCU because they already had a plan in place before the Fox deal went through. And
I think 5 years is too soon. I think it's going to be.
I mean, they
well,
could
let's read the
push
quote
back.
from unnamed producer. There is no rush to bring the X-Men back to the marketplace after this. And when they come back, it's going to extend Marvel's run another 10 years. That last part's kind of important because it kind of hints at something we haven't necessarily had insight to before, which is that the X-Men aren't just coming to the MCU as a novelty. It's kind of sounding like it, in a lot of ways, it could be Feige's plan for how to revitalize the Marvel Cinematic Universe franchise if it starts to lose steam. Like, now we're in this weird kind of experimental phase of phase 4, right? Like, we've blown all these things wide open. Now there's going to be like a big cosmic side we're hearing to the MCU, and then an Earth side to it, which is something we've said for years should probably kind of be separated out. There will be smaller events instead of like one large overarching story like the Infinity Stones. So we'll have smaller little event things that kind of play out and end. We have a whole bunch of time to fill in with this big 5-year time jump after Endgame to all the things that possibly happened and we were discussing before. All these Phase 4 films can actually fit in between, like, I mean, taking in Black Widow to account from the end of Civil War through the events of both Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. There's so much room in there to play with. To say,
and there's the Fantastic Four.
I mean, yeah, the Fantastic Four too, who may or may not be attached to the same arc of bringing in the X-Men, or maybe on their own arc, you know. So we have all these things to play with in Phase 4 that doesn't necessarily need to push the main action of the MCU forward too much before we get to stuff like the sequels, like Black Panther 2, not even Captain Marvel 2, but Black Panther 2, Doctor Strange 2, things like that. And so, you know, we don't know how that's going to go over because it's kind of, in a lot of ways, it's like going back to Phase 1 in terms of they got to introduce all these new heroes too, like Shang-Chi, the Eternals. None of these are guaranteed hits right off the bat. Even Nova, which within the fan community is going to be, you know,
Huge,
real
but
huge.
yeah.
But like in the mainstream audience
knows
and,
who Nova
and like selling that whole concept, like, yeah, so they got to do all these things. So there's no reason to doubt Marvel at this point because they've taken every other challenge and pretty much crushed it. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is proof positive of that. But at the same time, just in case people start to maybe not attach to Shang-Chi or Eternals like they used to Iron Man or Captain America, you do have one more ace up your sleeve. And just getting all these Phase 4 films that are already in production out is going to take at least 3 years. Yeah, and then kind of building up and getting those other movies ready in production, you know, another 1 or 2 years doesn't seem that long. But if it goes even longer than that, and then you're getting in there and long in the tooth, and the returns aren't coming, and the brand isn't as strong, you know, Feige just reaches in his pocket, drops that Wolverine card, boom, and then just starts off the whole thing. Like,
All he's got to and all you would even need is a post-credit scene where all you just heard was the snicked.
I mean, that's all
Yeah.
you need. Yes.
I mean,
And,
and
like, go
honestly, like I'm a pretty casual X-Men fan. Like if an X-Men movie is on TV, it's probably gonna, you know, it's a background movie for me. I'll leave it on, right? So Dark Phoenix had no interest in seeing it. I didn't even know it came out. I knew it came out when I saw everyone on Twitter and I saw Rotten Tomatoes. I was like, oh, it did come out. But yeah, like you know, like Jim said, seeing Wolverine, seeing anything like that, or seeing one of those main, that would get me back in there right away. So I'd like to see it sooner rather than later, even if it is 5 years out.
And I do think, though, I mean, that's a good point as far as like holding that for your ace in the hole, essentially. And I think if they get pushed back, it's for that type of reason over anything to do with Dark Phoenix.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that's smart. I mean, that would be a very real option for them to do and it'd be smart.
No, I'm not. I don't think Kevin Feige's ever scared. I mean, Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield's body wasn't even cold.
Yeah,
before
I
they
mean, that
just
movie was.
wrapped Tom Holland.
Here you go.
I don't even know if he knew. He was like, "Wait, who?" He showed up on set and was like, "Wait, what? Who's that dude with the shield?" But in all seriousness, nah. Yeah. So I mean, the X-Men right now is something that Feige can hold on to and have a guaranteed trump card to kind of really just put some steam back in the MCU whenever needed. So yeah, I don't think it's killed anything for Marvel, but I think it just this kind of underperformance does play well into their already established strategy of let's not rush this.
Yeah.
Let's hold off on it. Like, let people get over the sting of Dark Phoenix. Let's do our other stuff and focus on that. Don't get sucked into this right now. Take the Robert Pattinson approach. I was just doing an article about him and Batman. 2017, Robert Pattinson was like, I'm not messing with superhero movies. That sounds kind of crazy. It's 8 films. I don't know. You got to be willing to jump in the machine.
How much you want to bet that producer was Laura Schuler-Donner,
Of what?
who dropped that quote in the
unnamed producer.
Oh,
the unnamed producer?
Probably. Who
Because
knows?
I just say it because like she's come out and distanced herself so far from that movie that like I would imagine that she's like potentially still attached to like other stuff.
Yeah.
Because like she's still a producer on Legion and stuff like that. That she's like, oh, thank God the idiots are out of the room, and now we'll I can jump on this Marvel train and be happy with it.
Could be. I mean, it could very well be her. I don't mess with Lauren Schuler, so I'm not going to say nothing. But, yeah, I mean, it could be her. But yeah. So I think we're all going to be looking forward to the X-Men eventually making their way into the MCU whenever it happens. So
Yep.
until then, enjoy Dark Phoenix, I guess.
Yay.
Try to.
I still can't believe they put Sophie Turner in that damn maroon trench coat.
Well, believe it. It happens. Because that's a thing that happened. Sansa Stark's having a hard year right now. I mean, Game of Thrones reactions, Dark Phoenix reactions,
And it's not even her in both projects, right? Because people actually always come out and say,
Yeah,
like,
no,
she
they-
was good in them. It's just everything
she's-
around you.
I mean, she's stepping over
the
bodies
characters.
left and
Yeah.
The
right.
character she has to play.
It's
It's like
the-
you're good, just the character.
Yeah.
I mean, she's phasing through like Kitty Pryde, man. Like, it doesn't matter. Everybody else is getting stuck on the wall, and she's just like, whatever, I'm going to lock down this Jonas brother. And she just locked down Nick Jonas and was like, I'm all right. So, all right.
God.
So, that'll do it for the X-Men universe. We hardly knew ye. Stay tuned because next, after the break, we are going to break down all the big news that's come out of E3 so far, starting and first and foremost with the trailer for Marvel's The Avengers. So be here for that. Okay, let's talk E3. Tanner, this is your time to shine, my friend.
E3.
Yeah, we're going to talk about E3 and all the big gaming stuff that's coming out. But let's take a stop collectively first at the big headline that came out of this, which is the trailer for Marvel's Avengers has dropped. We talked about the game on the show a couple episodes back because we were sitting here and just hearing the concept of it, our big question was, is this the next Marvel Spider-Man like PS4 owners got this year, which was a very highly acclaimed game, very enjoyable, and like really just was the kind of Batman Arkham to Marvel in the sense of taking you and putting you in the hands or the shoes of this character and making this gameplay experience that made you feel like Spider-Man. And how could you do this with team-based play, with all these different Avengers? Would it be, who would the roster be? Kind of all that stuff was floating around in our heads. Would it be a kind of a competitor for Marvel Ultimate Alliance or something like that? Or was it going to pale in comparison? These were all the things we were talking about, right? So now this trailer is out, and the reaction from the internet has been decidedly, let's say mixed at the best, right?
They don't like it.
Mixed.
They're not ready to hate it yet.
Not yet.
But
People are still holding out hope, but there are those who have the knee-jerk reactions of definitely hating this.
I feel like it's more like they don't want to hate it because what else do they have? Like, but, I mean, to be
exactly.
fair, they've got Ultimate Alliance. and
We're
seeing-
giving you an Avengers game, so it's like, thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like crazy that like Ultimate Alliance to me looks like a way better, more fun game than this game. Now, to be fair, we haven't seen much about it.
I
but
think that's
just
one of the
can't
big problems is that we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is because it's co-op.
Yeah.
and you get to customize your heroes. But what what do you do? What does that all mean?
It just looks like a bunch of dads cosplaying.
Yeah, is
looks
it
like.
is it like a is it gonna be like an adventure game? Do we
Yeah,
play
people
like
are not
Destiny?
liking the character designs. We just saw like game engine footage, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
It was
Cutscenes, things like that.
cutscenes,
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that. So the main question about this is still unanswered, which is, will this somehow take you and put you into the experience of commanding an Avengers team with all their various superpowers and make it feel seamless, flawless, and fun for you to play? We have no idea about that.
I mean, from the snippets of gameplay that you see in
From, like, on the
between,
bridge.
Yeah,
right?
Because
Yeah.
we saw Iron Man flying around. On the
Yeah,
bridge.
you
That
see
was
Hulk
gameplay.
launching
Yeah, yeah.
off the thing that looks
Right.
like a jump, like Black Widow's running. So it seems like, right, you pick, and even from their description, it's a co-op game, but you're going to pick one particular Avenger to play as
Yeah.
for that mission.
That's what it
most
seems like.
likely.
Yeah.
You're not going to swap between like Ultimate Alliance.
Right.
Right.
And then that hero will get loot, most likely. You'll get customization pieces during that mission. I'm sure there'll be drops, right?
Yeah,
And then after the end, you get to customize. So you have that little bit of like Injustice where you're piecing together kind of some custom suits. So if that's the case, the core costumes can be whatever because they're all blah. Except for Hulk. I actually think Hulk looks really good. But aside from Hulk's model, everything else looks really blah.
I think they're a little worse than blah, but okay.
I don't think. I mean, I honestly looked at
Cap
the
looks like a
Avengers-
hockey goalie.
I looked at the Avengers trailer and looked at the Star Wars one and say graphically they look exactly the same as far as power goes.
Right. I've seen
but-
people
but I
make
mean,
the
but, like-
PS3 comparison, and I don't really see the PS3. Like, I think it looks fine. I can get.
I
not liking
think
the
it look. It's smooth. The textures are fine
Right.
and smooth. It's the actual designs of the costumes.
I don't like.
No, yeah.
Those
I get
are
that.
those are what I have problem with.
I
Like,
feel like that was doomed from the start because, like, okay, the company that made this game made Tomb Raider. They made all the Tomb Raider games, right? And we've seen a bunch of different versions of Tomb Raider. It's like it's fine. You're used to it by now.
Right.
But like Iron Man is, he is Robert Downey Jr. That's it. So it's like you're gonna see Iron Man, and it's not gonna be them, and you're gonna be unhappy.
but even Iron Man in the suit looks like something out of Iron Man Adventures.
But I think what they tried to do was straddle the line
between
between
the
movie
comics,
and comic,
comics,
and they didn't nail it. Like they didn't find that sweet spot. So now it looks weird.
Right.
It looks too far from the movies because you're right. They're not, the likenesses aren't there. I'm like, who the hell is that playing Black Widow, right? It doesn't look anything like
Right,
I would
yeah.
expect Widow to look. But again, with Hulk being the exception, because for some reason I think
Looks
that
like
works.
they found a 53-year-old Russian woman on the street.
But then it also doesn't have the fun that Ultimate Alliance does, which skews all the way towards the comics.
Yeah.
And it looks like a living cartoon, and it works. Plus, Ultimate Alliance already has a built-in fan base.
And I think you think you hit the nail on the head. That's what's unsettling about it is like, it's this weird, not the comics, not the movie, attempting to be its own thing, like Marvel Spider-Man was. I mean,
Yeah.
Marvel Spider-Man is not the comics, it's not the movies. They kind of play with elements of both, but they form their own identity, their own voice, and their own version of Spider-Man. This just looks not. It looks like they didn't have enough independence and enough control of either side of
Yeah.
the franchise, and they're just getting stuck somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, where we want you to still maybe suggest it's Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., or
Yeah.
Chris Evans, but not really, because we don't want to go fully. This isn't a Marvel Cinematic Universe Avengers adaptation, but kinda is, but it kinda isn't.
Now,
So,
as with
like,
Spider-Man, I still, because I remember, I was saying this before, I remember when Spider-Man's first trailer debuted, and I saw, it's like all roses now, but at the time, I saw nothing but, well, I want to see more than this vertical slice, because it looks kind of gamey. It looks too gamey. I literally saw that quote like numerous times. And then it
game
was,
looks too gamey.
The game looks too gamey. Okay, well, it looks kind of like Spider-Man, but I don't know. I don't love the graphics. You saw all those same nitpicks because it's the internet. Like that's so I'm waiting till I see full gameplay to make my firm decisions. And
To be fair, there are a lot of great things to potentially love about this game. I mean, the fact that they're going to be continuously giving you DLC that is all free,
Which is
no
nice,
loot
yeah.
boxes, none of that stuff. Like all the loot is going to come from the game. That is all cool stuff.
yeah.
I think you got a glimpse of Taskmaster in the game, looks phenomenal. Abomination looks great. You got a glimpse of a different Iron Man suit when he's in space, which is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
And so like there's enough there to be like, whoa, let's all right, internet.
And
Let's,
Crystal Dynamics knows how to do character moments even in adventure titles. In their past Tomb Raider things, they'll have a couple of central characters, but that's it. You really meet NPCs along the way just for that game or that adventure.
This Tomb Raider has some fantastic characters, and you can watch the cutscenes. It's like watching a Tomb Raider movie if you just watch them all the way through.
So
they know how to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's there, but we'll see.
But like, and I know they said this is a totally new story, but based on the way that the trailer comes out, it looks like it's a bit Avengers disassembled in a way, which is a story that we haven't seen tackled anywhere. And so if it's got its roots sort of there, I think that could be really, really
It
interesting.
did feel very Endgame to me after the time jump, and like I was like, oh, okay, well, it's like when games or the anniversary episode of Power Rangers did Dimensions in Danger after Shattergrade. I was like, oh, okay, this is Diet Shattergrade. This is Diet Endgame. But okay, whatever, that's fine.
One of the parts that was kind of concerning for me was they said, in the description, they said this is supposed to be a game you're going to play for years, right? They said it's going to be a shared universe you play for years, and then you see a debut like this, and you're kind of like,
Don't get ahead of yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, but we've seen that promise
there,
so
Destiny.
many times. We've seen it. It's been Destiny, Anthem, Fallout 76. We see that promise every single time. Games as a service comes out, and it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be here for that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Now I know
On
that
that raid 100 times.
I know they haven't confirmed it yet, and I think they're actively trying to not comment on it. But it sounds like it's already connected to Marvel Spider-Man. Like there's already
Reddit,
enough.
like,
there's
yeah,
already
Reddit
enough
posts.
big.
because Spider-Man, he mentions it in the game. He says that he thinks they're on the West Coast, and he talks about it.
Yep.
I hope it is. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and Taskmaster
The Taskmaster
mentions
did
the
too.
Avengers, and
There's some weirdness there because Spider-Man's a PS4 exclusive and all that. So,
But they also did go out of their way to say that
PS4 gets the beta first.
gets the beta first, but
yeah.
would also get special stuff.
They did say that.
So, but here's the thing that I'm worried about.
get a cardiac downloadable hero.
What if? I mean, this is pure. Like, may just be pure. I may be worrying about nothing.
Probably.
But what if Spider-Man is only on the PlayStation 4 for this game?
Well, I'm glad I own
would-
PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say I picked the right site.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. All right, I have an Xbox, so go screw yourself. I'm not getting a PlayStation 4.
That sounds like for your podcast.
Sounds like
But like that would be.
no,
but that-
no
worries over here.
podcast, like, has a problem.
But that could be a very big divisive thing for.
the one man in his Xbox.
Right.
It's like PS4, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about. We don't have that problem. So, moving right along, let's talk about something for you Xbox types.
You get spawned.
Let's move along because I think for Marvel's Avengers, I think we can put a fork in it and say, like, we need to see that gameplay.
Yeah.
Like, soon.
ASAP.
Like,
Right.
we need to see that game.
Like if they didn't plan on doing it in a month, they should reverse it.
yeah, and we need
Show
to see,
the
like,
gameplay.
Thor's hammer. We need to see it all. Like, Cap Shield. We need to see all that. All right. So let's move on to other E3 things, Tanner. We got a little list here. For Xbox, here's some hope for you, Jim. Xbox Project Scarlet.
Project Scarlet. Yeah, it looked. I mean, we didn't see.
First of all, for anybody who doesn't know, what is Project Scarlet?
Project Scarlet is. It's not the final name, of course, but it's what they're calling the next generation of Xbox. So the Xbox 2, Xbox 0, whatever they're going to call it, who knows? But right now it's Scarlet, and it's a monster, apparently.
It's basically an Xbox One on steroids.
Yeah, it is. They said it's 4 times more power. I think 4 times more powerful than the Xbox One X, which is that's pretty
It's
nuts.
already a monster.
Yeah, it's supposed to play games at 8K, up to 120
I don't even have a
FPS.
4K
I don't even have a TV that can. I mean, that's awesome, but
I love when next gen consoles like either like you're gonna buy this for $500, but now that $10,000 television you're gonna have to buy.
and
We don't do
people
that.
say that PC gaming is like the most expensive one. I'm like, well, hold on, I need a new TV to use this thing.
Yeah.
So this is the next gen Xbox.
Next generation. It's coming out holiday season 2020. So
Jim, if
we
you
got a
double
while.
down on bad decisions.
Dude, the best news about this whole thing is it is fully backwards
Fully
compatible.
backwards compatible.
is awesome.
All the way back
Fully.
to Xbox.
For the 3 Xbox exclusive games you need to
I mean,
I'm gonna play the hell out of Duke Nukem Forever on my brand new superpowered Xbox.
You'll pop it in there once and be like, all right. That was
I want to see that upscale Duke, baby.
Duke Nukem in 8K. That's what-
we got to keep it moving. So that's the new Xbox. What's coming out for PlayStation? What are some of the big things we've seen?
Nobody
from
cares.
PlayStation so far.
So
Stop hating, man.
PlayStation didn't go to E3 this year. It's kind of we knew that.
See,
It's so disappointing.
because they were scared.
It's because they're getting
not-
ready.
No.
They're getting ready.
Oh, no.
That's
He's
what it
just
is.
trolling.
But Square Enix brought Final Fantasy VII, right?
Boom.
That's Matt's game.
Final Fantasy VII
Yeah, it's
remake,
better than the
man.
whole Xbox right there.
And it's also a PS. Was it a PS4 exclusive?
I believe it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it seems
I think they're thinking it might be announced for PC, but it has not happened yet. So
Which looks awesome. We've been waiting for a date. This one finally got a date of now. I mean, it's 2020. I know, but for Square Enix games,
for now, it's March 3rd. It's Square
months
Enix.
like that is not that bad since we waited how long for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Well, I
and
mean,
how
the
long for
original one
15.
came out in '97, right? Final Fantasy VII.
97, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That
I mean,
was-
at this point,
I
a few
put
more
my
months.
life on hold
It
for that.
looks so good,
I
by
put
the
my
way.
life on hold.
Oh, it
for
was
that.
so yeah. The original. Oh,
yeah.
it was so good.
You see, I never played the original.
We had blizzards.
can't
Like,
couldn't play it then.
in the Northeast, we had blizzards back then, and we had Final Fantasy VII to keep us warm. Like, yeah, it was great.
So,
It was like no school.
so you want to hear
a
a behind the scenes thing real quick?
Is this wait? But
my
is this
childhood?
Hold up. Is this? Are we also getting a Final Fantasy VIII
So 8,
remaster?
yeah, they announced.
Oh, see, one of the most
reaction to 7.
slept-on games
8 is great.
ever was 8.
Hey, that runs.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7's not even out
First
yet.
year of
but
college, I was in a single dorm room, and I was just crushing that Final Fantasy VIII.
They saw the reaction to 7. They were like, all right, let's go ahead and move on with
and
8.
8
Let's do
is
that.
slept on. 8
Yeah.
is great. But when someone pointed out that the graphics were PS2, I was like, you realize Final Fantasy 8 was a PS1. And
Right.
look at that game and look at Avengers. I think there's a giant
See,
difference.
after not playing the original game and then seeing this trailer yesterday, I was like, okay, I need to play this one.
For
'cause,
8 or 7?
for 7, because we haven't really seen much of 8 yet. You
Yeah.
know, but I'm gonna get some hate for this. But my first Final Fantasy game was 15, which a lot of people.
Oh, I love
A lot of people
15.
hate it. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
And then when I saw this, I was like, okay, I need to come back and do this one because
Yeah.
all I know of Cloud is that he just beats me around and Smash all the time. So I was like, okay, let's go see what Cloud's about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no,
it
the
looks
Story
so
Cloud
pretty.
Atlas is powerful, man. It's good stuff.
It looks so good. And Tifa got a spotlight, and oh my God, it looks
Everyone
so
went
great.
crazy.
So
Yeah.
Vincent, Sid, I need to see all of them.
Yeah,
So.
it was good.
So back to Xbox. What other big Xbox games have we got?
The one, well, I'd say the biggest one is Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
That's the one everyone's excited for. It's going to be launching alongside the new Xbox.
I love those Halo
So
games.
you're gonna have a big. That's a big way to launch the Xbox.
And they had a
with the
good
new
trailer for that.
That trailer's
That was
pretty.
a good
That's
trailer.
a great trailer.
That is how you introduce the new Halo game. That was good.
Marvel's Avengers. Take note.
Yeah.
Gears 5 also looks which is the only reason I want an Xbox
I can't.
One.
I can't. That was the
love
thing.
Gears.
I can't still get into Gears. Like it's
So Gears of War 3 was my high school game. That was my multiplayer game. Days
I
worth.
totally forgot Gears 4 had come out.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was good for 360. When 360 first came out, I was up at night playing Gears all night. Like, yeah, I was just starting work. It was my first apartment. I remember that.
We did 4-player co-op that whole game. Like that was an event every
yeah.
every night.
The
Me
horde
and-
mode
Yeah.
and-
Oh, it was awesome. And
was
then
good.
And then it kind of teetered off because it was funny. The makers of Judgment, which is the worst Gears game, Judgment came out with like a new game. I was like, oh, that looks better. And then 4 came out. I don't own an Xbox One, and that's the only reason I ever lamented it. And now this is coming September.
I have an Xbox One, and no exaggeration, I'm going to brush the dust off my Xbox One and play Gears 5 when it comes out because I will come back for that.
yeah,
Does it
it
look
looks
good?
good.
It looks so good. I wish
I
they'd
lo-
shown more gameplay.
I love that. People are hating on that Terminator skin. I think it's awesome.
Terminator makes perfect sense
Yes,
in
it
Gears
does.
5. A Terminator with a Lancer?
Yeah.
But
And I agree. I
Come
wish
on.
they had showed more gameplay of the
because
regular.
they showed the escape mode, which was awesome,
Looks cool.
but they saved the escape mode gameplay until after the actual event happened.
Yeah.
And, loved watching. They had people like AJ Styles. And,
Yeah, I saw that.
but,
Xavier Woods.
but you
and-
could you could just kind of tell they weren't really familiar with Gears as much. They failed the mission. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Way to
Tyler
demo.
Breeze was the other one. It was
yeah,
Tyler Breeze,
yeah,
AJ, yeah.
Yep. So, I'm excited for it. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm a Gears head.
Yeah.
I will.
All right, so we're gonna jump to the thing that annoyed me out of my seat today: Nintendo. Talk about when Nintendo dropped. Because I was trying to do some work this morning, and everybody out here was freaking out. I was literally in a different room with headphones on, at full blast, and still got startled/distracted by this stupid Smash Brothers reveal.
Oh yeah, it was a big one.
Yeah.
It was big. Yeah.
I didn't know this was such a huge thing. I guess I'm out of touch with gaming over here, but
I think it's been a bigger thing because Charlie has been standing Banjo-Kazooie for like the last 6
It's
months.
such a big reaction.
And like And so it was more a reaction to Charlie than I think anything else.
Yeah, most triggered
yeah.
man in our office, Charlie Ridley, like shook the floor and nearly like he looked like one of those dead like gifs of the like when you say dead and you send somebody a gif of that, like that's what it looked like. Charlie just like losing his mind about Banjo and Kazooie coming to Super Smash Brothers.
But I mean, in Nintendo's defense, that was a really good reveal because
It was.
they said next fighter is going to be here, and it started the whole thing with Dragon Quest Hero. And I was like, all right, that's fine, you know, that's cool. But then you thought it was done, and then later Banjo pops up. And they did
In the
same-
most epic trolling
Yeah,
way.
right,
you hard.
because they did the
possible.
same way they revealed King K. Rool. It was King DDD at first, and then he took off the thing, and they did it the same way. It was
Yeah.
That was
That's
smart. of them.
smart.
That
Yeah,
was
that's
smart. That
so
was good.
smart.
That was good.
And I think the next big thing from that, Zelda. Tell me about Zelda.
Breath of the Wild sequel,
Yep.
and much more than that. There were a lot of Zelda. A lot
No,
of
a
Zelda.
lot of Zelda stuff.
Yeah, Link's Awakening, the remake. It's got a release date now. Sequel's in development. So,
What is that, Zelda 2?
Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
No,
No,
Link's
the Link's Awakening.
Yeah, what is that? Tell me about that. What's Link's Awakening?
The remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're remaking the original Link's Awakening game.
Well, that's Zelda 2, right?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
I believe so.
The generations just fell apart here.
The-
Generations just fell apart.
hey,
That was
ti-
the
the timeline gets a
side-scrolling
bit
one.
mad.
The side-scrolling one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was Link. Yeah, that was Zelda 2. That was like the first. Zelda 2 was like the first unbeatable game that we ever got hit with on like the most highly anticipated unbeatable game for Nintendo.
Yes, Link's Awakening was Zelda 2.
Your
Yeah.
face lit up when.
Yeah, because Zelda 2 is like the first game I ever like really poured in. I mean, Zelda came out 86, right? We got our Nintendos 86, 87, and it was like a smash hit. Then when Link's Awakening came out, it was a completely different game, like side scrolling, these dungeons, and it was like nearly impossible to beat. Like it was so hard that you literally just like poured your life into just trying to get through this game, and you never did.
So you're gonna
You're
put
gonna,
yourself.
you're gonna play this remaster. Yeah. You'll be like,
Yeah.
why did I have such a hard time?
I'm gonna be like
So
putting
easy.
a controller through the TV screen and be like, "How you're not so hard now?" Yeah, like I'm gonna have a lot of psychological stuff to work out with this. So
But it looks great. Yeah, the update graphics, and all that it looks beautiful.
awesome. Okay, I like that. Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3.
Looks great. Looks better than the Avengers.
It does.
I mean, look, I can't argue.
You can't argue that. It does.
I think with that game they kind of had the advantage too of like you knew if you played Ultimate Alliance before, you know what you're getting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you knew what it was going to be.
And they have
So,
new,
and-
but what are the new characters? Like people should be
Elsa
excited about.
freaking
Matt, who are the
Bloodstone.
new characters? You tell us about all those.
Bloodstone
Really?
is in the game. Yes, as a controllable character. Also, Elektra, Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider.
Don't
That was cool.
don't roll your eyes at Ghost Rider.
That was an awesome reveal. Him
was.
riding up on the bike, that was great.
Absolutely, it would have been cool if it was a mammoth. Would have been cooler if it was that Ghost Rider. Because wouldn't that be awesome if there's like a skin and it's got a mammoth? That'd be
Oh,
amazing,
yeah, the
right. That'd be awesome.
prehistoric
So Elektra, Beast, and then there was two that weren't confirmed as characters, but there were a lot of Novas in this game during one sequence, and you see a couple, and so it's kind of one of those things where like put two and two together. I imagine we will get a Nova, whether that's Alexander or whether that's Ryder. Or even like there's a couple other ones in here, so we don't know, but it's not confirmed. Also, if you peek down, like there's one part where Surtur is on there and Thor is here, and you see a little head and cape, and it actually looks like Valkyrie towards the bottom. So Valkyrie looks to be in the thing too. And if we do that right, they'll probably do a skin, and maybe they'll do a Tessa Thompson skin from the movie, which would be awesome if they do that. So,
All right.
so far those are the confirmed characters. They showed Colossus and Cyclops during gameplay too, but they're not.
And
labeled.
even if the hero's not in there yet, they got DLC coming. So
All
I mean,
right.
they got a season pass.
For Nintendo, last and always least, Luigi.
Hey now, Luigi's Mansion is a fantastic game.
Oh, I
and
know.
It
I'm not hating
deserves
on
to
it
keep
at all.
going.
I'm
that
just
can go
making fun of
forever.
Luigi because he always gets a short end of the stick. I feel like.
He does, but Luigi's Mansion. I mean, the first one was what for the GameCube, right?
Yeah.
That's right. That I love that game. I beat
was
it
fun.
so
It was a
many
great
times.
game.
And I didn't play the second one, Dark Moon or something like that. Didn't play that one, but Luigi's Mansion 3, absolutely gonna be back for it. It looks so good.
All right, so that's Nintendo. Now let's talk about. We're gonna wrap this up with just a couple of the fun little anecdotes that have come out so far. Two big things that have come out. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Mm-hmm. We got some updates on that.
So the reactions to that seem kind of split right now because it looks like a kind of a normal adventure game just with some Star Wars thrown in there.
It's,
I heard people
it's
seeing
Uncharted. It's
StarCraft,
Uncharted
yeah.
with laser swords.
But then again, Uncharted is great, and so are laser swords. So you know,
Well, yeah, I was gonna say.
I think the problem is that people wanted this game to be more like, oh crap, what the hell were those games? Star Wars Force Unleashed.
yeah, yeah.
And wanting them to be a game more like that rather than potentially a more straight up, less force intrusive adventure, Star Wars adventure game. Which
Like,
I
what do you
understand.
mean less force?
Well, like you can do you could do crazy force stuff in Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
Where I think this will be more a toned down version of
This
it.
is very.
You're not going to be
puzzle-
pulling Star Destroyers out of the
Right.
sky.
And I mean, I saw some hints of like stuff you could do. Like they said at one point, if you get shot with like a blast, you can stop the bolt in midair and then pull someone else
I
in front
saw
of
that.
it to where it hits them. And that sounds cool. I just want to see it. I want to see all of that stuff.
Oh, they did it on. the
right.
live
But I
stream,
want to see more of that,
Yeah,
like stuff like
which is
that. I don't
cool.
want that to be just the one. That's it. That's what you can do.
Yeah, very puzzle heavy as far as like moving stuff around, getting
Right.
obstacles. Yeah, I can see I get the Uncharted comparisons. It still looked good. I like the little droid. But like as far as
The little droid worried me a little bit.
It's still a little weird also seeing Cameron Monaghan.
Monaghan.
I don't know how to say his last name.
Yeah, I think
as like the
Monaghan.
main.
Yeah.
like the main.
It is a little weird seeing these actors as the main
It's
characters.
like seeing
now.
Jerome
or
Yeah.
Bernthal.
Because we have him, we got Bernthal, we have Norman Reedus. Yeah, it's a little weird. It's nice though.
And my man that I wanted to end with, Keanu.
Keanu showing up during Cyberpunk. Speaking
Yeah.
of actors being,
That's
in
like one of the biggest
in
things to
games.
come out of this whole thing so far. And my favorite, Keanu, just like owning gaming as along with everything else as he's owning right now.
I'm so glad for him. Like this Renaissance, or what do they call it? There's like a term now.
Kudos to whoever thought to render Keanu Reeves into gaming world because like he's just killing it. Like,
Because all
Cyberpunk.
CD Projekt had to do was just show us the trailer of Cyberpunk. That's enough.
Yeah.
People would have loved that. And then it ends and Keanu is there. I mean,
And the trailer does look. I mean, it's only a cinematic trailer, but it's gorgeous.
don't care. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Look great.
Looks
Yeah, I
good.
think Keanu at the end, and he's not even. They confirmed he's not even a cameo in the game. He's like a an
Major
important
character,
character in the game. They say he's an important one. So
So we can get around the weirdness of seeing an actor when it's done
in the right way. Yeah, when they handle
Yeah.
their image
I mean,
the right
with-
way. Like, yeah, I want to play that game just so I can hang out with a digital Keanu Reeves for like, or possibly combat
Yeah.
a digital Keanu Reeves for a couple
cybernetically
hours.
augmented silver-armed Keanu. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looking like he stepped out of Metal Gear Solid, like, yeah, I'm in for that, like, right there. So that sounds good with me. Tanner, anything else you want to wrap up, promote for comic book gaming and E3?
Just go to Comic Book Gaming. We got a bunch of E3 content on there. We're putting out a ton every day. Go read it there. E3 is not over yet. All the conferences are over, but we got more to talk about. So
Yeah, and by the time you probably hear this, we will have much more up there, so be sure to check it out. All right, that'll do it for this episode of Comic Book Nation. If you guys are just jumping into this episode and you want to get to know the show and join this little starship with us, you can find new episodes on Comicbook.com every Wednesday and Friday. In those articles, you can find a link to our RSS feed where you can subscribe to the show, or you can subscribe on your favorite listening platform. We are on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Playlists, Google Podcasts, and you can tell any Amazon Alexa device to play Comic Book Nation podcast, and it will fire it up for you. You can join the conversation about anything we're talking about by going on social media and hitting up the hashtag Comic Book Nation, or you can contact us individually. You can find me at Kofi Outlaw.
You can find me at Matt Aguilar CB.
and you can find me at Tanner Deadman.
All right. And if you guys like the show, love the show, please go on to any one of these platforms and leave us a 5-star review. If you leave us a 5-star review, we will read it on the show eventually and send you guys some swag. If you have been doing that and we haven't gotten to it yet, please bear with because we have a lot of content to cover in these shows right now, but we will get to your reviews and we will be reading them. Also, we started this a little bit ago, but if you guys want to ask us any questions, we've been far enough into the show. This is episode 39, so you can start to hit us up with some questions, and we will answer your questions once we have enough compiled. So, hit up hashtag Comic Book Nation and send us any of your questions, and if it's we're legally able, we will answer them. All right, that'll do it for this episode. We hope to see you guys next time. This is Comic Book Nation. Glad to be riding with you. We're out.
Deuces.